Welcome to Everybody Studios. This is another episode of Everybody in Charlotte with your host, me, Marinator, Meredith Dean, and I'm so excited that I'm bringing on one of the most inspirational people that I know in Charlotte, but I mean, she is doing everything. An author, speaker, entrepreneur, athlete, mindset nutrition coach. We have the Jesi with us. I'm thrilled to have you on Everybody in Charlotte.
I am so stoked just to get to connect with you in real life. I feel like since pandemic, we haven't really seen each other, but I've been watching you online and like getting to see you travel and see you blossom and starting your business. It's been so amazing. Like when you finally said goodbye to Levine's, I was like, yes, this is it.
And it's so cool that Levine Children's Hospital brought us together and you've inspired so many kids. I mean, and teenagers too, but I feel like we just have very similar values. It was so funny. We were talking before we even got on here and I'm like, we got to say all of this. So I want to start out with just like some of the things that are on your heart that you really feel like other people need to be aware of when it comes to maybe their mindset and limitations that we think that we have in our brains.
So earlier this year, I bought into a business, became co-owner. It's called Freedom Longevity and Wellness. We're a wellness facility in Lake Norman. So we have cold plunge, infrared saunas, hyperbaric chamber, vibration plate, PEMF, like literally an all-encompassing recovery center. And it aligned with my nutrition and mindset coaching because we're healing the body from the inside out. And one of the co-owners was like, Jesi, why do you keep labeling yourself? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, it's always, because I'm a wheelchair user, I can't do this, or because of my wheelchair. And it really made me think, even before I became a wheelchair user, because I wasn't born this way, I thought to myself, well, because I come from a higher low income family and my parents don't have a lot and we don't have a lot of money, because I filed bankruptcy, I can't achieve whatever it is. I'm unable to achieve whatever it is. And then I got paralyzed and it turned in, well, because I'm a wheelchair user, I can't do this. And we allow these labels of our struggle to control we're capable of. And in reality, those labels are just what's holding us back. So when I let go of all labels and I just became Jesi, I'm Jesi. I'm very powerful and I can achieve whatever it is that I'm willing to work for. We believe that things should be handed to us because we have a harder life or because we struggle. And in reality, nothing is going to be handed to us unless we work for it. And so I think it's really important for people to understand you can have whatever you want in life, regardless of where you come from, if you're willing to work for it.
And you live those values every single day and in everything you do, not just online, but also offline. I mean, you just feel this energy, honestly, badass energy constantly. You even talked about earlier, you said that being paralyzed was one of the best things to ever happen to you. And for those that maybe don't know about your story, and I know you tell your story all the time, but do you mind sharing a little bit about that and what that journey has looked like so far?
Absolutely. So I talk about this in my book a lot. Because for so long, I masked who I was before I was injured. I was an addict. I snorted pills on a regular basis. I drank every single day, and I still went to work. And I was still like putting children in danger, essentially working on kids' teeth while under the influence of these things. And then I became paralyzed, and it was my wake-up call. But I didn't take it as that in the beginning. I still tried to live that lifestyle, but then my body couldn't hold up to it. So it forced me to get sober. It forced me to stop living that way and actually start working on my nutrition, working on my mindset, working on my physical being. And so when I changed my nutrition, that's when a lot changed for me. My bowels became better. I was reduced nerve pain, which I think is huge. A lot of us deal with pain regardless of their physical ability or not. And by reducing my nerve pain naturally through food, it was such a game changer. And so my paralysis, I call it my superpower because it allows me to see life from a different perspective. I have systems behind everything I do for time management. So now I've become very good at managing my time because I'm forced to because of my physical limitation. It does take me 2 to 3 times longer to do something, but I'm still going to figure out how to get it done, optimize that time, and I get a lot more done in my day-to-day life than a lot of people do.
No kidding. I think a lot of people can learn a lot from you.
It's just your intention behind your actions in the day. Like, what is my intention behind doing this specific task? Why am I doing this task? And when I started asking myself that, I was able to pivot the way I was spending my day. So I got rid of my TV. I don't have a TV. I have 0 streaming subscriptions except for Spotify. So like I don't have Netflix. I don't have Hulu. I don't watch anything. I read books. And so I switched a lot of the things for what people would call boring. But I realized I was allowing other people's beliefs of what was right or wrong or what should be done in the world to control the way I lived my life. Well, just because a book's boring to you doesn't mean that it has to be that way to me. Our perceptions are reality. And so I started perceiving these things that were making me better as good because they're making me better. I don't diet, it's a lifestyle because that supports the longevity of my independence. I'm already in a wheelchair. I don't want somebody taking care of me when I'm 50, 60 years old. And I'm hyper aware of that. That's the one thing that's at the forefront of my mind is I work so hard to be independent. I don't want that taken away from me because of the choices I make now. We don't think about how what we do right now in this moment affects us 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. The reason that people have health ailments in their 50s, 60s is a lot of times because their lifestyle choices through their 30s and 40s. And we have to start thinking about longevity. We have to start seeing how our actions now have consequences later. So do you want discomfort now for an easy life later? Or do you want easy now for discomfort later? It's your choice.
God, so many just knowledge bombs that are dropped here. I mean, I just think that you talking about longevity, that one word right there, you're right. We're such short-term thinkers versus long-term. And the more that you're spreading your message to young people, to older folks, like it's amazing that you're changing so many lives. I know that you're speaking to so many people too. What are maybe some misconceptions that people have about wheelchair users, or what are you like, man, I really wish that people understood this about me, or that this is not a limitation?
Right. I think it's so funny. So I flew back from Nashville the other day and we were waiting to deboard and I forgot to tell the guy when he sat down that I was paralyzed. So when the plane landed, I wouldn't be getting up. And so everyone's getting up around me and I'm not. And I was like, oh man, I'm sorry. I forgot to tell you I'm paralyzed. Like I'm not getting up. You can go ahead and go around me. And he said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And when I tell somebody I'm paralyzed, that's always their first reaction. And I'm like, what are you sorry for? Because your perception of disability, your perception of a wheelchair user, my life is so much better now than it ever was when I was walking. I've experienced more life now than I ever did when I was walking. I've got to travel the world because of this wheelchair. So why are you sorry that something that you perceive as a limitation that's actually given me so much more than my walking legs ever did? And there's so much more to having a spinal cord injury than just the wheelchair. The biggest thing that I talk about all the time is bowel bladder. We lose bowel bladder control. And I think that understanding like, hey, if you're going to pray for me, pray for that to come back or pray for my strength to go throughout the day. Like I love God. I pray every single day, but I never pray to walk again. I pray for strength just to get through the day. Why are we so focused on the physical being and not on the internal? We as human beings have to be better at lifting each other up. When I am traveling, I go out of my way to be kind to the gate agents, to be kind to the person I'm ordering my coffee from, because it's not their fault when the flight gets canceled. It's not their fault if the order's late. You know, you have to realize the way you treat other humans also comes back on you. The energy that you put out in the world comes back on you. So if you're rude, nasty, ugly, that's what you're going to get on a regular basis. If you lead with kindness, people treat you so much different. They're kind back. They're like, wow, it's someone that's very nice. I tell everyone to have a blessed day, and I mean that with my entire soul. I truly hope that your day is blessed and positive and that you're filled with happiness and joy because life's too short not to. We have a choice. We can allow other people to make us feel a certain way or allow their energy to make us feel that way, or we can take control of our own. Stop allowing other people to control your life and how you show up. There's over 8 billion people in this world. Not everyone's going to like you. You don't like everybody. It's unrealistic to expect everybody to like you or to be a certain way or to be the same way as you. I think the biggest mistake we make is expecting everyone to have the same soul and heart as us, and they don't, right?
And you want everyone to. I mean, just
Right.
the kindness and the energy that you put in the world and like the intentionality you have when you're looking at people. I see that through all your interactions. It's so beautiful. And the world would be such a different place if everyone had that mindset because you are creating that world as you have these little individual interactions, and I call them lollipop moments. I don't know if you heard of this from Drew Dudley. He's a TED Talk speaker, but
Okay.
he talks about how it's in the moments, the really small ones, where maybe you didn't even remember what you said, but it changed someone else's entire trajectory of their life. I feel like you're having lollipop moments day to day in Georgia. I don't know if you want to talk about that
Yeah.
situation with a man that was having a bad day.
So we were on our way I was on my way to Florida. My roommate's in the car with me, and the 95 was shut down for some reason. So we had to hit an exit near Savannah, and it was like a random back road to go around whatever the accident was. And this man was not letting us in to turn left. And he started honking and getting aggressive. And so I rolled my window down and he rolled his down. And I said, "Sir, are you having a bad day? What's wrong?" And he's like, "Oh my gosh, am I having a bad day? I just had to get a tooth pulled. I was late to work. I had to leave work early and I got in trouble and then all these things. And now I'm sitting in traffic and I just want to be home." And I was like, "I'm so sorry that happened, sir, but is that a reason to take it out on me?" And I asked him that and he's like, no, it's not. And it humanized me. I was no longer a stranger in traffic. I was now a human being that actually cared about a fellow human. And when you humanize yourself and you're no longer just a number, just a customer, you're actually a person that's going through the same human experience as another person, that's when people show up different. And that's when you get more kindness and that positivity in your life. Is it always going to happen? Not necessarily. But you're going to have a lot more of those lollipop moments, as you call them.
You took the time to find that point of connection, and you showed empathy.
Yes.
And so many people just don't take the time. And I love that you talked about time management, but you also are taking the time to have those interactions with people. And it's just so essential. And it shows so much about who you are. And, what's the next thing for you? What are you really excited about right now? What are you hoping to do in the community?
Oh, goodness. I am so excited. So Wheel With Me Foundation's my nonprofit. We are a Charlotte nonprofit. We host community meetups. Our next is a grill and chill at Chaton Park in Cornelius. Really excited for that.
What day is that?
August 24th. It's our 4th annual grill and chill. Super, super excited. We just bring local communities together. We've been able to have meetups in Orlando. We have some scheduled for Houston, Cleveland, New Orleans. And so we're starting to host these meetups all over the country, bringing local communities together. Our ultimate goal is to build a transitional community for wheelchair users to integrate them back into independent society. So we are actively fundraising for that now. Working on putting together events for next year and to make some more moves happen. And then I also have a fitness app for wheelchair users that I co-launched called Wheel With Me Adapt Fit. And I'm very excited to grow that with my business partner, along with my business in Lake Norman called Freedom Longevity and Wellness. So we have a stacked plate. I know my book's coming out hopefully later this year, early next year. We're working on getting it published now. And so that's also very excited. That's been like 2.5 years in the making of writing a book. That's no joke. Reviewing your whole entire life and learning from all these mistakes, I guess, or lessons that you've had in life. It's definitely been an emotional roller coaster, but I feel like it's made me so unstoppable because I've addressed and turned every single demon in my life. And now I'm able to actually just go out unapologetically, be me, and show up authentically.
Oh, and it's so beautiful to watch. Oh my gosh, just seeing the trajectory. I mean, literally sky's the limit for you. It's incredible.
It's for everyone. I'm no different than anyone else. My parents were truck drivers. I completely destroyed my entire life and then got myself paralyzed and I filed bankruptcy. I've literally burned it to the ground numerous times. And I learned that I am the creator and I am the destroyer. And if I want my life to end up the way I want it, I'm going to have to be very intentional in my day-to-day tasks because all of that adds up. Every single thing we do, every interaction we have, every moment, everything we consume physically and mentally, that adds up into creating our current being and our future being. So you have to be so mindful about what you're consuming and what you're putting out in the world because that always, always comes back to you and your longevity.
Mic drop. Jesi, I tell you what, I feel like I can literally take on the world now. I need a dose of you every single day. But I am so grateful for you coming on, everybody in Charlotte. We do these episodes every single Tuesday. If you want to start your own podcast, this is the place to do it. Once again, I'm your host, Meredith Dean, and we'll see you next time.